Welcome to the next installment of the Risk Management Committee's Back to Basics video series. Today, the topic is going to be the final walkthrough and closing from the seller's perspective. My name is Matt Johnson. I'm counsel of the New Hampshire Association of Realtors and a shareholder at Divine Millimet. With me is Susan Cole, who is a member of our Risk Management Subcommittee. So Susan, this topic is right in your wheelhouse. The topic is the final walkthrough and closing from the seller perspective. So we've gotten through most of the hurdles of the transaction, but walk through any tips and suggestions you have about helping the seller understand this step and helping the seller get through this step, because I'm sure the stress is high at this time.
Yes, it is a heightened stress time in this process, and being sure. I even back up a little further when I'm talking with my seller earlier in the process. I'd be sure they understand what the walkthrough is, what's to be expected. Many times the walkthrough is just before closing, maybe the day before, depending on when everybody's schedules line up to do this. Making sure the seller knows that at that time their items, their personal belongings are mostly out of the house, if not completely out of the house. If we are headed straight to closing, then obviously we want it completely empty, because then they're on their way to closing. So being sure they understand the expectation is that their personal property be removed, and that it be in broom clean condition. And everybody's understanding of what that is different. So having some level of conversation with them about what is typical and standard for a broom clean condition is helpful. Some sellers will be, it's almost like they've had it professionally cleaned. Others, not so much. And being sure that we have some basic discussion about that is helpful. And also, going through with them what items should stay. If there's anything within the contract that's been agreed to, don't forget to remind them at that time, because they're going to be busy packing and their minds are going to be full, and they might forget that, oh yeah, I said I'd leave the dining room table, or I agreed to leave the window coverings. So those are things to be mindful of and remind them of.
What about, just a quick question, what about, should the seller attend the final walkthrough with the buyer?
No, I don't advise that. It's best if they are really just at that time away from the home, and this is the buyer's time to walk through, and it's not really the best time for the seller. It's not the best time for the seller to be there at all.
And what about the closing statement? What should the seller be doing with the closing statement as we get close to the actual closing?
So be sure they've reviewed it, and if they have questions, they should ask. You as a resource of the professional realtors, but the attorneys that prepared it, so that they understand what the figures are, what it means. It's helpful. So that if anything is missed, we can be sure that it gets added. We also at this time need to be sure we've gotten the keys from the seller so we can hand that off to the buyers at the closing. Closings are different now. You need to be sure what the attorney that you're working with protocol is. Many times there's only one party in the office at a time, at least in my area. That's what I'm seeing, or not attending at all, because of the current situation we're in. So just being sure the seller knows what the next steps are, helping them to stay calm and understanding and have all the information they need. That's our job, and that's what we as professionals can provide our sellers to help the process.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you so much. One final risk management tip from me while we're on this topic. Please, please, please remember, do not send any wiring instructions via email. Do not respond blindly to an email. The rise of wire fraud theft is rampant in the real estate industry and other segments of the community. Make sure that you're talking to a live person. You know exactly who it is and exactly how you're getting that information, because once those wires are sent to the wrong place, it's almost impossible to get them back. So make sure at the last step, make sure that money gets to the right place. So with that, Susan, thank you so much for your help on this. Very informative as usual, and that ends this segment.